What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, just as I told you, 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer, who is currently the undisputed super middleweight world champion, Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is considered the face of the sport of boxing, widely considered top 3, if not the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. 57 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout. He is 31 years of age, 5'8", with a 70-inch arm reach. With that said, I explained to you guys that Canelo Alvarez was being offered $50 million to face off against undefeated 2-division world champion, superstar boxer, Jermall Lions Only Charlo. Jermall Charlo is 32 wins, no losses, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout, 6 feet tall with a 74-inch arm reach. Jermall Charlo is, looking to make his debut at 168. And I told you guys the PBC was offering Jermall Charlo, $50 million to face off against one another. Okay. And that was met with, well, Blue, you didn't know what you was talking about. Well, or where you get this information from. Well, now it's being reported that the PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, founder and advisor Al Heyman, have decided to offer Canelo Alvarez double, $50 million for 2 fights, $100 million in total, to face off against, undefeated 2-time WBC super middleweight world champion Mexican superstar boxer David Benavidez. 25 wins, no losses, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 25 years of age, stands at 6'1" with a 75-inch arm reach. $50 million to fight Jermall Charlo May 7th, Cinco de Mayo weekend, and $50 million to fight David Benavidez September, Mexican Independence Day weekend. Well, as I told you guys, he was offered $50 million. That has now been turned down by Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, as I told you guys, it would make sense for Canelo Alvarez to go up to light heavyweight, face off against WBA undefeated light heavyweight world champion Russian superstar boxer Dmitry Bivol, who Dmitry Bivol is 19 wins, no losses, no draws, 11 wins by way of knockout. He is 31 years of age, 6 feet tall with a 72-inch arm reach. That makes sense for Canelo Alvarez to face off against Dmitry Bivol, because Canelo Alvarez can look to become undisputed in under a calendar year in a second weight class. Okay, in 2021 he became undisputed in under a calendar year, and in 2022 he can become undisputed in under a calendar year at 175. He became undisputed at 168, and now he has the same opportunity to do so at 175. Okay, and so with that said, Canelo Alvarez, now he can face off against Dmitry Bivol in May, and then you have opportunity for Canelo Alvarez to face off against undefeated unified WBC IBF light heavyweight world champion superstar boxer Artur Beterbiev, as Artur Beterbiev is going to defend his titles against WBO light heavyweight world champion star boxer Joe Smith Jr. Okay, it looks like that's going to take place in July. It actually looks like that could take place in June, July, in the summertime. Okay, they're looking to stage a fight between Artur Beterbiev and Joe Smith Jr. So the winner of that fight, Canelo Alvarez, can fight the winner of that fight, and guess what? The winner of that fight is going to hold all 3 belts. So Canelo Alvarez has the opportunity to fight for undisputed in 2 fights. So he could be undisputed at light heavyweight in September. Okay. So now maybe Artur Beterbiev, depending upon when they fight. So if Artur Beterbiev and Joe Smith Jr. fight in May, they'll be ready to fight Canelo Alvarez in September. Okay. Even if they fight in June, maybe they'll be ready to fight in September, depending upon how the fight plays out, no injuries and things of that nature. Okay, barring a clean fight. So with that said, Canelo Alvarez could become undisputed in light heavyweight. He's already a WBO light heavyweight champion, so he'll be a 2-time light heavyweight world champion, and he'll be undisputed at light heavyweight, undisputed at super middleweight. Okay, that's historic. Okay, for his legacy. for his name brand. He's already the face of the sport of boxing, and he's being offered the same amount of money to fight, against, well, it's a little bit less. So to fight against Jermall Charlo and David Benavidez, $50 million. To fight against Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, he'll get $40 million. Now, obviously, the Bivol fight is a little bit different because Joe Smith Jr. and Artur Beterbiev, they both fight on Top Rank and ESPN. Okay, but for him to fight against, for him to fight against, Dimitri Bivol, they're looking to get a 2-fight deal with him to secure him for 2 fights, with him fighting against former rival or current rival in Triple G, Gennady Triple G Golovkin, in a trilogy match. Now, DAZN has been looking to secure that fight for quite some time. I don't know if Canelo Alvarez accepts that, because obviously if Canelo Alvarez beats Dimitri Bivol, he's not going to look to go back down to fight Gennady Golovkin in September. That doesn't make sense. It just makes sense for him to go ahead and look to become undisputed at light heavyweight. And then, okay, let's say he gets to fight Dimitri Bivol in May. He fights the winner, Joe Smith, Artur Beterbiev, in September. And then at the end of the year, now he could go back down to 168 and defend his title against Triple G in the trilogy at the end of the year, because Canelo Alvarez looks to fight, 3 times a year anyway. Okay, so he can essentially accomplish all of this in a calendar year, right? He could fight Triple G in a massive trilogy in Mexico City in December, okay, and he could fight Artur Beterbiev, Joe Smith winner, and Dimitri Bivol, and become undisputed at light heavyweight. That's enormous. That year, the year itself, right? It just speaks major volumes for Canelo Alvarez, his legacy, and his brand, okay? He can undoubtedly become the greatest Mexican fighter in the history of the sport of boxing, hands down, by accomplishing this. Undisputed. First off, he's the first Mexican born fighter to hold all 4 major sanction belts simultaneously at one time, okay? And doing so at super middleweight, and he did so creating history at super middleweight, becoming the first fighter to become undisputed at super middleweight, okay? And then he has 1 loss on his resume. Imagine he runs this gauntlet at fighting the best at light heavyweight, okay? Then Canelo Alvarez could always fight Triple G in December, achieve a trilogy match. That's a major fight in Mexico City. And then in 2023, he's only 32 years old. Only 32 years old. Then in 2023, Canelo Alvarez could now say, okay, I'm ready for Jermall Charlo and David Benavidez. And essentially, at that point in time, he could end his career. He could have 2 fights in 2023, fighting Jermall Charlo and David Benavidez in 2023, Cinco de Mayo weekend, Mexican Independence Day weekend, and then call it a career by 33. By 33, he would have beaten the best there was to offer. He would have become a 4-division world champion, undisputed in 2 separate weight classes, right? Beat the best that's out there, okay? And if he don't want to retire, at that point in time, he still can accomplish in 2023. Let's say he fight Mukubu, right? Look, Luna Mukubu at cruiserweight. So let's say he decides to fight David Benavidez, Jermall Charlo in 2023, Cinco de Mayo weekend, Mexican Independence Day weekend, and then in December to close out the year, again in Mexico City or Africa, where they were saying, face off against Mukubu, if he's still a champion at cruiserweight, to become a cruiserweight, a 5-division champion. I mean, the table is set for Canelo Alvarez to secure and cement himself as the greatest Mexican fighter in the history of the sport of boxing. And the route to go to fight, at light heavyweight, you can accomplish this right now. That feat may not be there for Canelo Alvarez in the distant future because we don't know how it's going to play out with mandatories at light heavyweight and things of that nature. The Jermall Charlo, David Benavidez fight is always going to present itself. Okay, those are like one-off fights. but the opportunity for him to monopolize the light heavyweight division in under a calendar year, the table is set perfectly for him to accomplish this. And it just makes sense for him to do that. Now, me personally, I would love to see Canelo Alvarez face off against Jermall Charlo. I think that's that's obviously like his longtime trainer, well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year, Eddie Reynoso, stated Jermall Charlo is the biggest name and the biggest fight that can be made namesake-wise for Canelo Alvarez. Agreed. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the fight that I want to see, okay, challenge-wise, okay, competitive-wise. I want to see that fight. But if that fight is postponed for a year, and because I want to see Canelo versus Dimitri Bivol and Undefeated Joe Smith winner. Those are huge challenges for Canelo Alvarez. Those are no walks in the park. So Canelo Alvarez turns it down. Looks like he's going to get about $84 million to fight Undefeated and Joe Smith Jr. Undefeated with the hopes of that, they're looking to secure a trilogy match for Triple G. But this table is set for Canelo Alvarez's legacy. Let's see how this plays out and unfolds. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.